What's up, everybody? We're going to be going over the recent post made by Jagex about rebalancing equipment and defenses. But most people that I've seen have really been focusing on the least important part about this entire suggestion. They're suggesting to change the way that defense works with elemental magic as well as with ranged weapons. But we're just going to be talking about elemental magic today. So what did Jagex suggest? Well, they suggested that how the defenses work in-game for magic should not be baseline a magical defense. It should be a magical defense against a specific element: air, earth, water, or fire. So obviously your fire elementals are going to have a very high defense against fire magic, but a very low defense against water magic. And I could only imagine how far we could take this with building out specific themes of areas or even bosses. This would be a massive rework for our equipment and every monster in the game, but honestly, I think it's the right direction to move into. As far as it goes right now, your elements are all but useless, except for those very niche cases where we are able to apply a specific spell for a quest line or item. So in today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit of speculation to see what we're working with, what might be improved or changed, and what I would do. So the very first element in the list is the air element. The most underrated element, the most underrepresented element, I might say. We only have things like air elementals, an air wizard, or maybe some armadillo followers could be considered air users. But really though, that's it. I'm not going to comment on the combination elements until later because that's saved for its own section. So if you take away the mist, steam, and dust elements to the air element, there's nothing there. You don't even have specific monsters for it. So that way they can drop the different type of air things like air staves, air runes, air talismans, and it makes sense thematically. We have a few references of storm giants, so it might be kind of time to introduce a storm kingdom of sorts. At the very least, in a couple of descriptions of the lore books. We could have different things like storm giants, harpies from the sky, even air fiends to match the water and fire fiend. But most of all, I think we should introduce something that's kind of been missing, and that's the white dragon. The white dragon should be an air magic user, and this will follow a theme with the rest of the elements. And it seems pretty obvious that Armadillo would be associated with the air element, being that its general is Kriara. So if we were going to expand the air element, I definitely think we need to expand into the Armadillo territory. Maybe even the guards to Armadillo herself, the white dragons. And these are all just speculations I'm trying to come up with off the cuff. But what do you think we could do for the air element? Moving on into the earth element. There are so many different earth-based creatures in the game, it's actually really easy to just check this one off the list. There's earth elementals, earth wizards, rock golems, any other type of golem within the game, and we have plenty. Tree spirits. We could even add different things like earth fiends to fully flesh out the elemental demons that we've built. But the thing that the air element and the earth element have in common is the fact that they don't have a tome of air or a tome of earth. These things definitely need to be introduced into the game, and this is the perfect time to do so. You could add in the Tome of Air from Sepulcher, or you could even add in the Tome of Earth from Guardians of the Rift. And if Guardians of the Rift is not good enough, maybe we add it into one of the mining minigames that sorely needs some love. At least keeping them on par with the other tomes to fully flesh out our elemental gear, for which there is not much. It might even be time to introduce a new tier of elemental staff. An earth staff may be higher than mystic. I could also see us aligning different types of gods with the earth element like Guthix, Brassica Prime, or even Seren with the elves in Prifddinas. There's a lot of different ways that we could expand upon the earth element, and we kind of don't even have to because it's already done. But we do need that Tome of Earth. And moving on to the fact that green dragons might need to have some sort of earth-based attack. So what do you guys think about the earth element? Is there anything I might have missed that's definitely a part of it, or something you might want to add? Leave it down below. And we're moving right into water. Water is a well-represented element, much like fire. Fire and water are almost even overrepresented in fantasy games, and in RuneScape, it's no different. You have your water fiends, water elementals, ice fiends, water wizards, and so many undersea creatures. But hey, that's not to say we can't add so many more with the sailing update, and I'm sure they're already on the way. The water element being a really good example of how you might want to add in a new tier of staff. What if having a mystic staff of water was not the highest tier of water staff? Once you're able to get an ice staff, which is essentially water twice or a double down on water, that's the highest staff that you're able to wield for water. And honestly, you could have a storm staff for air, a staff of metal magic for earth. Your water elemental staff is now just an ice staff. Your fire element could end up being a staff of the sun. And the way that you could introduce these is obviously going to be through the storytelling mechanic of the deities of RuneScape. Saradomin is all blue. They could just be associated with the element of water, but Elidinus, who we have recently introduced into the desert, is also water-based, along with a god that has little light brought to it, but I'm sure we'll get a little bit more light brought to it with the sailing update. That's the Kaiser Teeth. It's essentially like an undersea god. I like to think of it as like Leviathan or Lovecraftian type of god, but any of those could be great storytelling mechanics to expand upon the water element. The fire element is the easiest one. It's already fleshed out and there's so many different fire-based attacks. You've got fire elementals, fire giants, pyre fiends, there's fire wizards. Basically any dragon and any demon is going to have a fire-based attack. So we're covered on that thematically. But there is a god that I would probably associate with fire, and that would be Zamorak. Any of the spells associated with Zamorak are flame-based, and the best thing about the fire element is we probably wouldn't even have to change the red dragons, just make sure they have a fire-based attack. And with the introduction of different types of damages from all of these different monsters, we're definitely going to need to start bolstering our gear as well. That's why perhaps I'm suggesting a new tier of elemental staff could be prepared, or maybe we'll finally get the last 2 tomes of the elements we need. And I know I can already hear you in the back saying, well, what about combination elements? And I think that's the strongest part about all of this. There's basically nothing done for combination elements in RuneScape. Well, the only reason you have to make combination runes is if for some reason it sells for a lot or it's a lot of experience, but you're definitely not going to be using them because it's a hassle to get them and you don't want to rely on it. So I suggest with the element update, perhaps we introduce a few new elementals to the mix. A mist, dust, mud, smoke, steam, and even lava elemental. And that's just the bare bones of where we could take this. You could have different things like a magma gargoyle, or like a boiling snake that swims in boiling water. Shoot, we could figure out what the heck a smoke and dust devil is by maybe adding a few mud mist or steam devils. But really though, this is the time for you to start adding new monsters into the game that specifically have these type of elemental themes to them. So that way the drops can consist of combination runes, and perhaps even revitalize some of these monsters that have been long forgotten to have a new sense of importance. You might be able to negate most of a lava attack when you have proper earth defense, but if you don't have proper fire defense, you might take the brunt of it, at least the half of the attack that was fire-based. There are so many different ways that we could make this work to our advantage and add an extra layer of character to magic. Something that's sorely been missing. Honestly, you know for a fact a couple of crazy people in the community are going to be able to find a way to take magic to newer heights. Maybe it can even be on par with ranged every once in a while. But really though, that's my idea, everybody. A whole bunch of new monsters from every kind of element as well as combination elements. New staves introduced into the game that double down on an element, like an ice staff, a metal staff, a storm staff, or even a sun staff. As well as fully fleshing out the tomes of air and earth to be within the game and on par with the tomes of fire and water. And most importantly, everybody, each and every one of these elements could and rightly should correspond with a god in RuneScape's theme. Because there are so many gods, it would be so easy to do it through a storytelling perspective. Well, that's my 2 cents, everybody. What do you guys think? Leave it down in the comments, and I'll talk to you all later.